Alan's got his crystal ball out. We know the Anthony Davis present is really great. What's his future look like?
Well, let's consider that this is his only appearance at the Garden this year. So let's talk about his future and what could change perhaps this coming off season. Now, he has a moment of truth coming. He doesn't become a free agent until 2020. However, he can opt out that year. However, this summer, the Pelicans can decide whether or not they want to give him what he is eligible for, which is a rare supermax, 5 years and upwards of $230 million, believe it or not, that he could make from them, and they can give him an extension starting this offseason. Whether he takes it or not is a different story, and then of course that leads to whether or not the Pelicans will want to trade him. Now, trade rumors certainly do abound, and he has to now consider whether or not he wants to make the Pelicans part of his future. They came off a franchise record 48-win season, second round of the playoffs. But he's preparing. That's why he signed with LeBron James' partner Rich Paul at Clutch Sports Agency. That caught the attention, of course, of Laker fans. It also led former Knicks guard Jarrett Jack to go to Twitter earlier this month and make a very bold prediction about the future. He says right here, if you think the league was in trouble before, they're about to mess around and have AD, Anthony Davis, and KD, Kevin Durant, and Bron all on the same team. Now, someone replied to him if he really did believe that could happen, and Jarrett Jack responded, in 8 months, quote me. Very interesting stuff there. He did later apologize because it created a media firestorm for Durant and also for Anthony Davis and the Lakers certainly as well. But it's going to be a story to follow until he either signs an extension or stays in New Orleans. That's a big name, one of the big names in the NBA, a very young player and a guy that maybe could be on the move.
Okay, now, Trey Burke is planning for his future too.
Absolutely is. And another guy to talk about signing with a new agency. Trey Burke on Monday signed with Rock Nation. They will now represent him. He just turned 26 years old. And as you know, he's playing a lot better these last 4 games. He will be a free agent in this offseason. Now, he signed that 2-year deal last year. It was a very smart thing the Knicks did when they signed him coming out of the G League last year. They gave him a 2-year deal, partially guaranteed for this year, but that 2-year deal gives them his bird rights. So they actually, if they want to re-sign him for next year, they can using bird rights instead of worrying about having to use cap space. Now, the question, of course, is, as he's starting to play better, is Trey Burke one of your keepers going forward? The Knicks still want to decide that, but Trey Burke's certainly playing well enough for you to consider him a keeper.
It's always fun to look back at past drafts in any sport and see what really happened. What year did you pick?
Well, I picked 2013, and here's why. The Pelicans are here, and one of their top players, not only Anthony Davis, but also Jrue Holiday. Well, how did they get him? They got him by trading the number 6 pick in the 2013 draft for Holiday with the Philadelphia 76ers. How does that look all these years later? Well, that 6th pick was Nerlens Noel. How did he work out? He ended up being a bust for the Sixers. He is now on his 3rd team in Oklahoma City. And Jrue Holiday now with Davis. That's one of the best tandems, best young tandems in the NBA. So let's look at that draft. The number 1 pick was Anthony Bennett. He's not even in the league anymore. The last lottery pick that year was Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you look now, let's re-rack it. He's the best player in the draft. But check it out. Oladipo was the 2nd pick. I'd say he still is the 2nd pick. That worked out, although he's not with the team that drafted him. Look at these other picks, 10th, 17th, 8th even. And the Knicks at the 24th pick, Tim Hardaway Jr., when you consider scoring, he is the 6th best player out of that draft right now. So not bad, turning the 24th pick into one of the 6 best players in that year's draft. You also see Trey Burke there at 9, and his scoring-wise, he's still among the top 10. So the Knicks have 2 players out of that draft, which reconsider it, but they have 2 players that ended up being very good.
Time for the stat of the night.
Stat of the night, we're at the 20th game of the season. That's about the quarter mark to start the season. The Knicks are scoring 108.6 points per game. That's their highest output in 30 years since the 1988-89 season with Rick Pitino. They also playing at a pace of 99.6 possessions per game, which is the fastest they've had since that 88-89 season. But here's a sign of the times, Al. Neither is anywhere near the top of the NBA in today. In fact, it's 18th in scoring and 19th in pace. So the Knicks are playing fast, but the league is still playing faster.